Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm your host, Sean Holko, alongside my guy, Mr. Jaevon Toddy. Kevin Denton, Garry Singer, unable to join us tonight, but the show
because they
must
suck.
go on. No, shut up. Anyways, we will keep the show rolling as we got to bring you guys this content, and we are going to recap the first two rounds of March Madness on the men's and women's side, as it was a very exciting first weekend. But Jaevon, before we get things started, I just want to check in with you. How you doing, brother?
Oh, pretty well. Had a very exciting weekend. Exhilarating is an understatement on how the weekend went.
Yes, man, that is certainly an understatement. And we will get to the wild weekend that was for Mr. Jaevon Toddy and the Hotline in a moment. But before we get there, Jaevon, I just wanted to ask, today being March 26, 2024, it's a Tuesday. It's not a Monday. We had to push back the recording date one day this week. But with it being March 26th, does anything ring a bell? Like, where were you, Jaevon, 5 years ago on this day?
Actually, no. I have no idea what you're getting at right now, but I guess we'll see it a little bit.
Well, 5 years ago on this day, March 26, 2019, Jaevon and I were together. We were in Rockland because we were there for the In-N-Out basketball tournament, the final In-N-Out basketball tournament that Jaevon and I participated in together.
I don't think I played in it, but I pulled up to watch you guys play. Wait, go back to that picture. There's a couple of legends in here. I'm trying to think.
Yes.
Wow, there's a lot of legends in this picture. That's crazy. Shout out to all the guys.
Shout out to all the legends. And also, we have previously spoken about Terry, TD. He's the guy who you see on the far left holding his son, his son is probably like 10, 11 years old now.
But bucket getter right there.
Real bucket getter. Terry, real bucket getter. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to everyone in this photo. I mean, I'd be taking too much time to name every single person, but shout out to everyone in that photo. We miss you guys. We are grateful for you guys, and good memories that we made a part of the In-N-Out family. But I saw that pop up on my Facebook memories this morning, and so I was like, all right, had to post it for the pod.
It's not cap, guys. We were actually playing in the tournament.
We reference these In-N-Out basketball tournaments. Yeah, like here's the proof. Like it was a real thing. You see two 76ers representing the Arden In-N-Out. Like that was us. Cap. We were there.
Really
there. No cap at all. So Jaevon, we talked about and we alluded to the wild weekend that was for you in the Hotline. So before we get this week's picks for Vonny's Hotline on the best bets that people need to be making this upcoming weekend, could you just take us back to this past weekend? And you had 4 big bets this past week, and they hit. So could you just take us through them real quick?
Yeah. There was a few that went by. We had a couple of other ones that hit, but it wasn't due to college basketball. It was more like hockey, NBA, a little bit in there. So the first one that we hit, as Sean pulls it up on the screen. So this one was the Duquesne. We took them straight up. They were plus 365. And you know what's crazy? I thought I got them at a better price point. I thought I damn near got them at plus 395. I don't know why my dyslexia must have kicked in and it was at plus 365. But I was pretty sure it was like super close to like plus 400 odds. But Duquesne was a team that I kind of was monitoring the week before. We had a pretty crazy week before during championship week. They were a team I was kind of looking out on. They won their conference, the A-10, so a lot of people kind of weren't really watching that. And they're like, oh yeah, BYU and blah blah blah. And I had watched BYU previously play against I think it was like Texas Tech the week before. I think it was Texas Tech, and they couldn't throw a rock in a pond. Like it was bad. And they're usually a great 3-point shooting team. And so I was like, oh, Duquesne's probably going to win that game. I think they're better. They can, space the floor, shoot. They got good guard play. And that was kind of a game that I called like a week in advance when I saw like the matchups come out. I was like,
hey. You nailed it.
I was like, Duquesne's probably going to beat BYU. And they were They were the spread on that game was the spread on that game was 9.5. So I was like, yeah, they're gonna cover the spread. I was like, they're gonna win. So that was a game that I was pretty high on. A game that I wish I would have picked was the Oakland Kentucky game. But I think Oakland was like plus 800. So that would have been lovely.
Nuts.
So the second game I think we had was
FAU.
Was the FAU Northwestern game. Just kind of going back to FAU throughout the year, they've been very inconsistent. They were never a team who I thought was going to be pretty. I don't know. I just never saw them going far into the playoffs. Northwestern was a team that I was like, I like their guard. I like their guard play. In Bowie, he's like a kid from New York that plays on Northwestern. Northwestern was missing one of their bigs, but they had a guy, I forgot what his name is. He's like number 5, Barnheiser or something like that. He went fucking nuclear, and the game actually ended up going into overtime. So, wasn't as great as I wanted it to be because Northwestern was up. Usually in most college games, like if a team is up 10, like double digits, with like 6 minutes to go, the game is not over. The game is not over at all. Because
Texas A&M proved that against Houston.
Yeah, in college, it's weird. Like they will go on like scoreless runs for like 5 minutes. And that's kind of what happened with Northwestern Florida. FAU came back. FAU was winning with like 50 seconds left. They got fouled. I thought the game was over, and I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. We're not doing this again. And then FAU goes to the free throw line, misses the free throw. The number 5 guy that I was telling you guys about earlier, he like grabs the ball and goes full court and gets a layup. And I was like, oh my God, the game's going into overtime. And then the guard for FAU, he kind of just like brought the ball up like really slow. I was like, what the fuck? There's like 7 seconds left. Like, there was no urgency for him. And then he like chucks up an air ball, and I'm like, oh, Northwestern's going to win. And that's kind of what happened in overtime. They got the ball. I think they scored like 11 points, went on to like 11-1 run. And that was kind of what that game was. So that was the Northwestern game. This was a parlay that I did. Kansas. Yeah. It was Kansas. I was really thinking about picking Kansas for this game, but I was like, Kansas been playing like shit the whole entire like
dog shit, missing their best player.
They're missing their best players and being super inconsistent. I was like, there's no way. Like I was like thinking about taking Kansas money line, but I was like, that's not gonna happen. So
Gonzaga has made it to like 6 straight Sweet 16s. It was like something like that.
Yeah, Mark Few versus Bill Self. That kind of like that coaching battle between those guys. Pretty legendary matchup. And Gonzaga was down at half in this game, and they kind of just exploded in the second half. Kansas kind of showed us why they were underdogs going into it, and I think when Kansas was like, I saw a stat that they were 1-3 against the spread, or straight up, or something like that, when they're dogs in the tournament games. So that was kind of like a come to Jesus moment. Like, okay, let's be real here. Obviously, the second game on there was North Carolina, Michigan State. Same thing. Michigan State kind of came out kind of hot on fire. I think they were up early, like double digits, like up like 11, 13 points.
Were you shaking in your boots a little bit?
I was just like, they kind of got to just snap out of it. They weren't really making shots. They were letting Michigan State do pretty much whatever they wanted. They were getting layups, uncontested threes, wide open shots. And I was like, they just got to just tighten up. And then all of a sudden, UNC kind of just goes on a run. I think it started with an Armando Bacot dunk, and that kind of just started everything. The catalyst. You had RJ Davis knocking threes down. You had Harrison Ingram. He was knocking down threes. Elliot Cadeau was getting to the basket, and you had Cormac Ryan knocking down corner threes. So it was kind of a barrage of guys just being able to make shots, and that kind of it just spiraled over. And I think North Carolina ended up winning by like 15, and that was just another flex. Coach Davis is in another Sweet 16. Hey, This is second? I think it's third year coaching. Yeah, third year coaching now. So, was very excited about that. Not only because it's my team, but we got the win.
Well, that's what I wanted to follow up on real quickly before we get to this last big bet, because in our group chat, the notable group chat being from our Stats Over Politics Fantasy Football League, you were going back and forth, I believe, with Evan when you were saying, like, beforehand, I think it was Evan who said, like, Toddy, your Heels are going to win it all. And you're like, I don't know about that. And then after they beat Michigan State, you were like, fuck it, we taking it all.
Yeah.
So, like, what went into that? Like, what did you see in that game that really just flipped your decision?
We kind of just like controlled the game. Now I get it was against Michigan State, but I'm looking at it from a perspective of us losing. I'm kind of basing everything off of championship week, not of what I've seen and kind of what I've seen throughout the year. We've lost games that we should have probably have won to the big dogs that we played. Like we played the likes of UConn, we played Kentucky, lost Kentucky early in the year, lost to UConn early in the year. So I'm just like, but kind of like I'd say like midway through the season, we kind of just went on like a run of just winning a bunch of games. We ended up winning the ACC regular season championship, and then we lost in the ACC tournament game, which was weird, to NC State. NC State's just on an unbelievable run right now.
As an 11 seed.
Yeah, as an 11 seed. So a lot of people are kind of looking at them.
I think, aren't they the only double-digit seed on the men's side to make it to the Sweet 16?
Yeah, there's not that many Cinderellas. And technically, they're not well, they are, but they won the ACC tournament. So now it's just like, okay, like this team is actually pretty good.
Well, it seemed like their coach was, I didn't pay that close attention to NC State. And like the first that I really like saw them this season, and it wasn't even like from a live game. It was from highlights of the ACC tournament. And something that they were saying on SportsCenter is like their head coach was on the hot seat and like about to be fired. Now, not only has he saved his job, but like he may be getting like an extension or whatever.
Probably.
Exactly.
Definitely.
He probably should. Exactly. And so before we get to this week's picks of Vonny's Hotline, could you just take us through this last bet? Because you and I were talking before the show officially went live for this week, and you said that this last game between the Creighton Blue Jays and the Oregon Ducks made you reevaluate or just realize who you are as a person. So tell us a little bit why you felt that way and more so about the bet, because as we can see right here, it was a big return.
Taught me a lot about myself.
How so?
I questioned it ever gambling again off of this game. It was just, I even like ran into a guy like at the store and I was so confident this pick. I was like, "Hey man, do you gamble?" He's like, "Yeah, kind of a little bit." And I was like, "Take Creighton on the spread tonight." And he was like, "Oh,
that guy dabbles."
He was just like a random guy. I just walked up to a guy. That's how confident I was. And so it was kind of just like, all right. And the game was close throughout the entire, like there was never really any separation throughout the game. There was this one guy on Oregon. I forget what his name was, but you could not stop him. I think he had like 35 in the game. Pretty much the offense ran through him. Creighton had no answer for him. Creighton was missing a bunch of shots. Doug McDermott's dad is actually the coach for Creighton. I don't know if you guys know that.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of was saying, we're getting open shots, but we're just not hitting them. And so pretty much the spread was 4 points. I think, the game was kind of similar to the the Northwestern game. Oregon had the ball. They were about to go up by, I think they were up 3. Yeah, they were up 3. And I was like, I'm praying for overtime. I need overtime. There's no way that they're going to cover the spread. And one of their better players on the team is, I forget what his name is.
Jermaine Cousinard.
Cousinard is the guy. Yeah, Cousinard is the guy for Oregon. The guy
who went nuts.
Yeah, he went fucking insane. It was like, I think he almost had his career high in points. Shireman.
32 points, for Cousinard. But yeah, Shireman on Creighton, he finished with 18.
Shireman on Creighton came down and hit the shot of his fucking life. I was like, oh my God. Game's going to overtime. We have life. It was not over. far from over. Kuznard just wouldn't go away. He's hitting step back threes in overtime, and I'm just like, bro, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, I'm gonna lose in overtime. It's over. I'm done. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sleep after. So, and then it's just a back and forth game, and then the game ends up getting tied, and I'm just like, bro, they're not gonna cover. I need double overtime. I need double OT, baby. We need this to happen. It was just kind of you got to dig. You got to dig deep for this one. And they definitely made you sweat for this game. The Blue Jays did not make it any easier than it could have been. I hated every single bit of it. But the game went to double overtime, and I was like, bro, there's no way. I couldn't believe it because Oregon was missing free throws. Like if Oregon would have made the free throws, the game would have been over. Oregon would have won. So I probably bet a whole bunch of people that probably have the spread on Oregon. I'm going to double OT. We're like, okay, this is like we're sweating the exact same thing, but just in different ways. So the game goes into double OT, and Creighton gets the tip, and Creighton just drills a three, and I'm like, oh my god, let's go. Gets a stop. Kuznard like airballs a jumper. I was like, he ain't got no legs. He's dead tired.
Nope.
He ain't got no legs.
Cooked.
He's cooked. Creighton comes down, hits another three, and I'm like, I'm freaking geeked up, and I'm just like, there's no way. Oregon could not score in double OT. Like, it was just weird for them. It kind of just came down to Kuznard, and there was another guy that he's running a pick and roll with. They're big, who couldn't make free throws. And so that was kind of what they were just like, you just got to stop one guy. And he was dead tired. Couldn't really score. And once they pretty much took him away in double OT, I think Creighton, they scored like 12 points, and Oregon they couldn't score. I don't even know if they scored in double OT. I think they only scored like maybe one or two buckets, something like that. So Creighton ended up winning by like 10 points. So I was
13, 86 to 73.
It was that game was wow. It was crazy, but a great game nevertheless. Probably the best game of the weekend.
Most definitely. And so 4 big wins for Jaevon and the Hotline this weekend. But Toddy, I know you've cooked up 4 more college basketball bets for us, and even, as you would say, a little sprinkle on the end of it. With
before we go, go ahead.
Go ahead. All I was going to say is that rather than it being about the XFL or the USFL or whatever, I don't even know what it's called. Now it's called the Is it the UFL now or whatever? The spring football league. You got a little spring football.
The Rocks football league.
The Rocks football league. So Toddy, tell us about the picks you got for the Hotline this week.
I did want to go over a couple of losses too. So we had
got to stay humble.
We had the Marquette game. The crazy part is the whole game.
They won.
They won. The spread was 4.5 for the entire game. I was kind of waiting to jump on it live to see if I can get something, because the majority of the time the spread was like 8.5, 9, 10. Because they were.
I don't want to touch that.
They were controlling the majority of the game, and I was like, I don't want to get into that. So.
And it should be noted that this was against the Fighting Deion Sanders, aka the Colorado Buffaloes.
Colorado got hot, and I knew that they were going to get hot, so I was like, the spread's going to go down. And I caught the spread at its original line, which was 4.5. I probably should have waited like another 30 seconds. I could have got it at 1.5, or I saw a 3.5, which would have been good for me. There was a 3.5. There was a 4.5. Dropped to 3.5, then dropped to 1.5 because Colorado took the lead. I should have probably taken the 1.5. But moral of the story is Marquette ends up winning by 4, and the sports books needed Colorado to cover, and because they were getting absolutely slaughtered the entire weekend, with the favorites winning. And then there was the Oakland NC State game. It was another live play for me. They were down 3 with 15 minutes left in the second half. And I was like, you guys I was telling the group chat, hop on Oakland money line. It's like +300, +315 or something like that. They're gonna win. I was pretty confident that they were gonna win. I was gonna take them. I think I was gonna take them like pregame, which they were like +250, which was not bad. But I think I had another bet going, so I couldn't bet the pregame. So, and I think that was the North Carolina game. The North Carolina game kind of like intertwined with the Oakland start time. So, Oakland was down 3, and they were still +300. And I was like, "There's no way that I can't take Oakland right now." And Oakland ends up taking the lead at some point in time, late in the game. Game goes in. Oakland has a chance to win it at the end. They drop some bullshit ass play and throw the ball out of bounds. If you watch the replay, the guy who was defending the NC State player, like hits his finger, goes off his finger. So that could have been. There was like another second and a half, and then the refs were like, "No, NC State ball," and I was like, "Okay, what are we doing here?" Game goes in overtime.
We got NC State money line. Let's play.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And then they had the game goes in overtime, and I lost all of my confidence after that. NC State kind of DJ Burns is like the bigger, like he weighs like 260. He's like the guy that's like unstoppable in the playoffs. Everybody loves him. Couldn't stop him at all. They had no answer for him, and it kind of showed.
6'9", 275 pounds.
Yeah,
DJ Burns Jr.
Yeah. He's been going. And NC State was like on a crazy run where they played like 5 games of 5 nights, because they were basically fighting for their lives to get into the tournament, and they had to basically win the ACC tourney to get into the tournament. And they've just been on fire. So they might be a team that you might want to watch out for as far as betting goes. I'm probably going to stay away from them this weekend, but they're hot right now.
It's the only Cinderella left, as we noted earlier. And so
forget what the guy's name is on Oakland, like Geikel. He kind of had like his 10 seconds of fame.
Yeah, Josh Gokul or whatever.
He was on like McAfee, ESPN. Everybody was interviewing him and shit. He's like, I'm not going to the NBA, but I'm just as good as these guys. But he had some big shots. So I was rooting for him.
I saw he got like an Experian sponsorship or whatever. Like he had NIL endorsements like in the 2 days in between, and wonder what happened afterwards. Right. Credit to him, and also shout out to Townsend. I thought it was pretty cool how they kept highlighting. I think it's Seth Townsend. I might be wrong on the first name, but I think the last.
He plays on Oakland.
Yeah, from Oakland.
I think he's like one of their best players too.
Yeah, correct. So Townsend. Oh no, not Seth. It is Townsend. Trey Townsend. Apologies to Trey. But the thing that I thought was cool about Trey Townsend throughout this tournament is not only was he one of Oakland's best players, but they kept showing his dad on the broadcast, and it was because his dad is and was a credentialed photographer, not just as an Oakland photographer, not as Trey's dad. No, like he legit is a professional sports photographer. And I thought it was really cool that he got to see his son win a first round game in the NCAA tournament and almost win a second. So I thought that was pretty cool. And shout out to Oakland for the little run that they went on.
Oakland is not in the Bay Area, by the way. It's definitely in Michigan. It's
definitely in Michigan.
A bunch of people were probably like, "Oh, it's the Bay Area team. I got to root for them."
Hey, yeah. Oh no. Unfortunately, it's from that state up north. But anyways, Jaevon, we got 5 picks on the hotline for this upcoming week. 4 of them are in men's college basketball. So tell the people where they need to put their money this week.
Okay, so I think I I don't have. Yeah. So the first game I think I had on there was we had UConn -11. They just been beating the shit out of everybody. Doesn't matter who it is. They been winning fairly convincingly, and have just been a team that I get. It's a double-digit points. Don't be afraid of it. They wiped the floor with Northwestern. That was another play that I kind of called earlier in the not on Sunday, but I had it as a parlay though. I should have just did it straight as a straight, as most of these wins were. But yeah, UConn is probably gonna. They might repeat. They're really good.
They're freaking nuts.
They're really good. Their spread for their first game was like 26.5. They won by 40 points. They won by
cleared it easy.
It was pretty eye opening. So don't be afraid. Now I get it. They're playing San Diego State. It's a rematch of the NCAA championship game last year. UConn's gonna beat the shit out of them. UConn's gonna wipe the floor with them. So I don't know if they win by 20 points. They probably might win by like 15, 16, double digits.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I thought. It's like 15.
Yeah, they'll cover this spread. So I wouldn't have any worries here. The next game, we are rolling with the Tar Heels. And I've said on this podcast, I don't like to bet my team.
It looks like I got the Sacramento shirt, but I damn near got Carolina blue on.
I've said in the past I don't like to bet my team, but they were going through a lot of ups and downs. That was like early in the year. I was like, bro, they burned me too many times, and I'm just like, fuck them. But now they've been playing pretty well, playing really good basketball. We're going up against a really, really solid team. I think we play on Thursday. Yeah, we do play on Thursday against Alabama. They kind of looked a little shaky against Grand Canyon this past weekend. They were winning pretty convincingly, and Grand Canyon kind of got back in it late, but then Alabama was able to finish off the job there. But have North Carolina winning -4. I think we played Alabama. I don't know if we played them this year in like a tournament. Like there's like usually like a New Year's.
Yeah, like in Hawaii or the Bahamas or something like that in December. Yeah.
I don't know if we played them. I remember we played them last year in a tournament, lost, but that was last year. A bunch of different guys, but I think UNC gets. I think if they're the better team, we get the win here. Illinois, and if you guys look at my bracket in the Stats Over Products League, I'm going completely against my bracket. I chalked my bracket.
Fuck them picks, as Les Snead said. Fuck them picks.
Slashed it in half. I've definitely butchered what my bracket looks like currently right now. Next game is going to be a very, very close game. This is the team who I had winning it all. I had Iowa State winning it all. Saw some things I didn't really love in the Washington State game that they just had. I think the game was pretty close going into halftime, but I feel like they ended up pulling it away. But Illinois, I just love what I've been seeing from them throughout this tournament. Obviously, they're the Big Ten tournament champions. I've been seeing a lot of good. Illinois has been knocking down some really good shots. Iowa State plays really, really, really solid defense. I kind of fell in love with them because they won the Big 12.
They beat the shit out of Houston in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was like, I think they might be able to win it all because Houston was a team who I thought could definitely win it all. But kind of after that, I was like, let's stay away. And we kind of saw a little its ugly head start to rear out a little bit this past weekend against Texas A&M when they were up double digits.
Gig 'em.
Yeah, they're up double digits. And then the game just somehow magically ended up going into overtime. So Illinois is a team who I really do love. It's kind of a pick 'em, honestly. Iowa State's favored, so you'll be getting plus money here with Illinois. I think they're like plus 105 here. So Illinois will be my pick here. Those are 2 Thursday games. The next 2 games are on Friday. So Friday we have the Tennessee Volunteers. I said it's great to be a Tennessee Vol. I said it's great to be a Tennessee. Yeah. Creighton, I kind of wanted, like my initial pick was I think Creighton's going to win. I just saw a lot of things in that Oregon game that I feel like wouldn't slide against a Tennessee. Tennessee is a team who I definitely thought would win their league, their division. They did not. I think they got bounced in like the second round to South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, or was it Alabama? I think it was South Carolina. But I did see some things that I liked this past weekend going up against Texas. Texas is a solid team that they kind of edged the victory out against. Creighton is a team, if they're shooting well, no one can really beat them. But I've seen a couple of games this year in the tournament, in their league tournament as well, that if Creighton is unable to knock down shots against a good, solid team, that other team is going to take advantage of them. And that's what I feel like Tennessee is going to do. Dalton Knecht is a guy who is potentially going to be a lottery pick.
And he just came out of the Big Sky conference.
Where did he? I'm trying to figure out where he transferred.
Northern Colorado.
Yeah, Northern Colorado. Guy's a bucket, man. He's older, but he's still a bucket.
Lucky getter.
I think he's going to be a factor for them, and I see them winning and covering the spread too. If you're able to get this at 2.5, I would take that as well, because I think that might be a play going, like, as the week kind of progresses. Like Wednesday, you might see the line drop a little bit because people are betting Creighton a little bit more on the spread. So taking Tennessee here on the spread -3. The last game is a little different here. Who are the Arlington Renegades, you might ask? Well, they just happen to be the former XFL champions.
Reigning, defending, undisputed, forever XFL champions.
They forever, because it's not a league anymore. So what happened is, guys, USFL and the XFL, they combined leagues now, and I think they're just the United Football League, so the UFL.
Correct. Yep.
So that's what they are right now, and they are playing the Birmingham Stallions, and I think Birmingham won. I don't think Birmingham.
Birmingham is the reigning, defending, undisputed, forever USFL champions.
So I'm kind of going off what I saw last year when they played against the DC Defenders. I thought DC was just, and I'm kind of looking at both leagues, kind of comparing who had the better league, and I thought the XFL had the better teams. I thought the DC Defenders were like the best team like throughout both leagues, and Arlington kind of came out and put it to them. So I was kind of surprised that Arlington kind of won the championship, because they were like plus 250 to win that game, if I'm not mistaken. They were like 9.5 point dogs, so they were heavy underdogs kind of going into that game. So I really do like the Arlington Renegades money line. The spread of the game isn't out yet. I haven't seen anything, but I did see that it's coming back this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So be on the lookout for that. XFL or UFL, guys. You guys gotta work with me here. I don't know.
Gotta get the X out.
Gotta get the X out. So I really love Arlington Renegades money line. We'll probably have to live play all the other games, because kind of want to see what everything looks like going into that weekend. There's going to be a bunch of football games on, so we will definitely look out for. I'm not sure what the actual spread is for this game, because, like I said, the line currently isn't out, but it will be probably Friday, Saturday, or Friday, like Thursday, Friday. It might come out, so be on the lookout for that. It might be a pick 'em, so we'll see. But I do like Arlington to win that game.
Yeah,
might see more UFL picks later.
I like it. I mean, it is the spring, and I guess Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is too busy beating up Cody Rhodes on Monday Night Raw to have the UFL have lines ready to go for us degenerates trying to bet on the UFL.
When is WrestleMania?
WrestleMania is coming up in like 10 days. It's April 6th and 7th. Now it's 2 days.
Yeah, that's right.
So
are you going?
Looking forward to it. Oh, no. I went last year when it was in LA. I ain't going all the way out to Philly.
Oh, it's in Philly this year. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a long ways to go. All right. Next WrestleMania you might see me at is if they ever go to Vegas. They probably will eventually. But
yeah.
Anyways, shout out to The Rock, because wrestling is fucking on fire right now. some real good shit. Anyways, as we move on here, but before we do move on, Jaevon, could you give us a quick recap of this week's picks?
Yeah, so we got UConn -11 over San Diego State. We have North Carolina -4 over the Crimson Tide. We have Illinois money line straight up over. They're playing against Iowa State. And then we have the Arlington Renegades money line over the Birmingham Stallions.
And as well as Tennessee -3.
Oh, Tennessee -3. Yeah, definitely skipped over that one.
It's all good. It's all good.
Start talking wrestling. Start talking wrestling. I got excited.
And last thing before we move on from our favorite betting segment, I wanted to ask, because you mentioned the Oakland game that you live bet on. Jaevon has come a long ways, ladies and gentlemen, because I remember in 2023 when I dabbled with some wagering, I was the first one between the two of us to live bet. I was like, they're giving me Kings +6 right now when they're down 2. Like, why wouldn't I take it? And so I started live betting, and Jaevon was like, "You're a madman. I would never." And now,
no, Shaun, no, he was a pioneer. He was a pioneer.
A pioneer at losing. That's what I was a pioneer of.
Shaun was like, "This is the way." Like, he was the Mandalorian.
I guess so. I guess
ahead of his time.
But between the two of us, you're the one who profits. I'm the one who loses. That's why I had to stop. Anyways, as we keep things moving here on episode number 87 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon Toddy, Kevin Dent, and Garry Singh are here with us in spirit. The Sacramento Kings are currently playing the Dallas Mavericks, and Jesus Christ, it was an awful third quarter as the Kings go into the fourth, trailing the Dallas Mavericks 96-76. So
I know it. This was I didn't bet today, but I was the two games that I was thinking about taking the Mavs. I was either going to take the Mavs.
That's a lock.
Or I was gonna take the over, and then the other game that I was gonna bet was the Thunder -1, and they beat the Pelicans today. So great. Great.
Yeah. The Kings are the absolute worst when it comes to a back-to-back. The second night of a back-to-back. Doesn't matter if they played in LA the previous night and then they're back in Sacramento or what have you. They were at home last night. They slept in their own beds. But I guess the Mavs just want it more. I haven't seen the game since the second quarter.
I can't be losing.
Nah, so the Kings definitely need to beat the Mavs in their rematch on Friday, but we shall see how that goes as we keep things moving here on episode number 87 of Stats Over Politics. Jaevon, we talked about the live bets, the bets that were made, the bets that need to be made. But now let's just talk about the hoops, because men's March Madness this past weekend, the first weekend of it, it was a little chalky, Jaevon. I'm used to that on the women's side. Like, you have the Caitlin Clarks, the Juju Watkins of the world, who are on number 1 seeds. They were expected. Yes, Kate. Yes, Juju. Yes. But anyways, you have 1s and 2 seeds in women's March Madness that you expect to move on. In men's March Madness, especially within the last 5 years, since Virginia was the first number 1 seed to ever lose to a 16, there's been a lot of upsets in men's March Madness, but not this year, Jaevon, as for the 5th time since 1979, each number 1 and number 2 seed advanced to the men's Sweet 16. However, it didn't come easy, because those Houston Cougars, who we talked about earlier, that lost to Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game, those Houston Cougars barely, and I mean barely, survived the fighting Texas A&M Aggies, gig 'em, as Houston won 195 in overtime, as well as St. Mary's got upset. And for some people, they'd be like, oh, St. Mary's, whatever they were like a 6 seed. That's not that significant. Man, I had St. Mary's going to like the Elite 8. Like on my real bracket. I had St. Mary's going to the Elite 8. Then I have I'm in a group chat with my cousin and all of his friends, and in the group chat that I'm in with my cousin and all of his older friends, or at least older than me, 10 years older than me, I entered their bracket challenge, and I kind of just thought, fuck it, let's get weird. And in that one, I thought I had St. Mary's going to the championship game and losing to Purdue. No. I had St. Mary's winning the championship in my Let's Get Weird bracket. So that first round elimination was awful.
Bracket
Nevertheless, we keep it moving.
Was it like Saquon who had like a perfect bracket? Like
I guess so.
Or no, it was Bijan Robinson. He had like a perfect bracket through like I think it was he picked Oakland to win against Kentucky, which is pretty crazy. I think it was like some random team.
Dude, like all of the upsets that I picked in the first round, none of them hit. And then all of the favorites that I picked to win, like half of them lost. Like
who's
Kentucky
winning our bracket challenge?
That's a great question. I'll take a look at that. But as I take a look at that, Jaevon, just what were some of your favorite moments from the first two rounds of men's March Madness?
There was a bunch of good games throughout the weekend. That Creighton game, man, it changed me. that was a crazy game. The Duquesne game was good. That was kind of like a wire-to-wire victory. Trying to think, man. I'm just kind of going through all of the games. The Houston game was really good. The Houston Texas A&M game was really good. James Madison, they beat Wisconsin in the first round and getting clobbered.
The Dukes.
Yeah.
The Dukes before they played Duke.
Yeah, before they played Duke. Obviously, the Oakland game was really good. Oh, the Florida-Colorado game. That first round game was madness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Florida, Walter, what is his name? The guard for Florida, something Walter. He has like the dreads and he wears the headband.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
He's a really good guard. He should get drafted, in my opinion. I don't know if he goes first round, but maybe like a second round guard. But he's been a guy who's been able to hit tough shots consistently throughout the year, and he comes down, absolutely drills like a 30-footer to tie the game. And Anthony Richardson was at the game, which was actually pretty cool. Former Florida Gator, who's now quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. I thought that was really cool. And then, so he drills the three with like 6 or 7 seconds left. They kind of drive down, and I'm probably thinking that the game's going to go to OT. And I think it's like De Silva. Was it De Silva that he hits like a crazy game-winning shot, and it bounced around the rim like 3-4 times. Absolute heartbreaker for Florida. I had them going pretty far too.
That baseline midi was tough because like when he put it up, I was kind of like, I mean, obviously the clock is running down, but when he put it up, I was kind of like, is that the best shot? And then clank, 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 and in it did go in. To answer your question, right now in the Stats Over Politics men's bracket challenge, Nick the Freak is at the top of the leaderboard. Nick the Freak, I don't know what your last name is, Nick, but you are currently at the top. Uncle Manny, we know who that is.
He's always winning some shit, man.
Uncle Manny's number 2 right now. And I will say, Jaevon, you're going to love this. So Nick the Freak, he has Houston winning the tournament.
Okay.
And what you're going to love is that Uncle Manny has the Tar Heels winning the tournament. So we shall see. And then also DJ Rhino, who has been a guest here on Stats Over Politics. He's currently in 3rd. He has the Tennessee Vols winning it all. And I believe that Kevin is this next user who is tied with Rhino for 3rd place. No, Kevin does not have. And the reason why I think this is Kevin is based on the name of the bracket. The name of the bracket is We Miss Coach K. And this person, I believe it's Kevin, but this person, they actually chose Kentucky to win it all. So like they're already cooked. They're currently tied for 3rd place, but there's no chance of them winning it because their champion is out. But yeah, right now we got Nick the Freak at number 1. They got Houston and Uncle Manny always at the top of the leaderboard. Shout out to you, Uncle Manny. I know you're sick right now, so I hope you feel better. But Uncle Manny's at number 2 with UNC. Toddy, you're currently in 7th. I am currently 11th out of 12. Let's see. I don't know. Whatever Evan's name is on here. I mean, I feel like. Do you know who Evan picked? Evan picked the Tar Heels, right?
Yeah, he picked
So, okay, so I believe that Evan is ESPN fan with a bunch of numbers, and he's currently in 5th, right behind. He's kind of in striking distance too. So it looks like Nick the Freak, Uncle Manny, and Evan are
who's in second to last.
Oh, dude, that's me. I'm in second to last. And here's the kicker: is that we had 12 entries. Yeah, I sure did. But gig him. Anyways,
he's biased, guys.
Oh, I'm super biased. I write for a Texas A&M website, a part of the USA Today network. I'm hella biased. But anyways, so technically I'm second to last. However, I'm basically dead last because there's someone named Abby Rhodes who put in a bracket, but the bracket is blank. So like the entry's at the bottom, but like your boy is basically in dead last. So sounds about right for me. Jaevon,
so really, I'm in 6th place.
Yeah, in reality. Yes, yeah, exactly. So anyways, we'll see how that goes and we'll keep you guys all updated. Yeah, so do you have other highlights from the men's side?
No, that was pretty much it. I'd say the 2 best games were probably the Creighton Oregon game, the game that I went into full detail about of just me
going through
it, fetal position, the whole deal, and then the Oregon Colorado game, which I had no dog in. But if you would have had the over in that game, you would have been very happy.
Well, I want to add one more game to this, and obviously the bias is shining through strong. But Texas A&M, the number 9 Aggies versus number 1 Houston. These 2 teams played earlier in the season, back in December, at the Toyota Center in Houston. And obviously the crowd in Houston was favoring their team from their home city. Nevertheless, these teams rematched in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The Aggies absolutely beat the brakes off of Nebraska in the first round. But anyways, Jaevon and I, we were talking about it before we started recording tonight. And I was saying, yeah, Jaevon turned off the game with like 5 minutes ago because Houston was up 10 to 15 points. Like it looked like it was over and that they were just going to cruise. That's what it looked like, at least. So anyways, I turned it on with like 3-4 minutes left because I was covering the Giants and River Cats exhibition game at Sutter Health Park this weekend for the Daily Democrat, my job out in Woodland. And I left that baseball game after the 8th inning so then I could try to beat some traffic because it was a sellout. That was awesome to see. But anyways, that's all irrelevant information. The point is, I got home. There was like 3 minutes left. And just because I write about Texas A&M for my career, I thought to myself, well, they're down 10 plus points. They're going to probably lose, but let me at least watch the end of this game. Well, they made a game of it because over the last 77 seconds of regulation, the Aggies went on a 13-3 run, and it was capped off by Andy Garcia knocking down a 3 at the top of the key, fading back, falls to the ground. He's laying on the ground, basically like with his arms completely spread out, like props his neck up, sees the shot goes in. The Aggies run off the bench like they just won the game. But in reality, they tied it and they sent it to overtime. And a lot of people, myself included, thought, Houston is going to probably lose this game because how do you crumble like that?
And they had a bunch of guys foul out too.
Thank you, Jaevon. You're just tossing me lobs right now. I appreciate it because here's an NCAA tournament fact that was crazy. So the Houston Cougars had 4 out of 5 of their starters foul out of this game. Their 5 starters combined for 24 fouls, meaning the one guy who didn't foul out, he was 1 foul away from fouling out. Nearly their entire starting lineup fouled out. And because Houston did go on to win this game, they are the first team since UTEP in 1987, that long ago, that had 4 players foul out of an NCAA tournament game and still go on to win the game, as UTEP did that in the round of 64 back in 1987, 11 years before Jaevon and I were even born. And this is now Houston's 5th straight Sweet 16 appearance after in the previous 35 seasons, they had 0. And so props to them. And, it was just it was an exciting game.
They had the guy, due to all the foul outs, they had a guy going to the free throw line that only shot like 4 free throws the whole year.
Yeah, that white boy.
Yeah, he comes in right. This number 20 or something like that. He gets fouled. Houston is up 2. I think no, they're up 3. They're up 3.
And he just needs to make one.
He just needs to make one. Misses the first one. He was like, oh shit, it's getting to him. It's getting to him. Like
hits back iron.
Bro has only shot 4 free throws the whole year. Like it's a big ask for a guy who doesn't really play to come in and kind of essentially ice the game, and ends up missing the first free throw. Like, what's going through your mind after that? Like, oh my god, if I miss this,
Ryan Elvin.
If I miss this free throw, I'm getting death threats. Like it would have been bad, but I was like, he's probably gonna make one. I would imagine that he would have made one. He's probably one of the better free throw shooters. Like in practice, like, hey, let's all make a shot to go home.
This guy.
Like, yeah, Ryan Elvin. That's the guy who clutched the Houston, who punched their ticket to the Sweet 16. But it was a very exciting game, and kind of for it to be kind of in his hands at the end of the game was pretty insane.
Yeah, it really was. But like you said, he missed the first, and like I feel like someone like making the first and then missing the second is like, it's not a big deal, because it's like, all right, you made the first, you missed the second, because when you miss the second, like it's a live ball, you just move on. You don't have time to think about it. But the fact that he missed that first free throw, went long, hit back iron, and the fact that he swished the second shot and he didn't leave it short, because that's what I was kind of hoping that he was going to airball it on the second attempt, because like, all right, I shot it too long. Let me just leave it a little bit short. But nevertheless, he made the shot. Houston's moving on. And as I said earlier, for the first time, or excuse me, the 5th time since 1979, all 8 1 and 2 seeds, so 4 and 4, made it to the Sweet 16. So props to them. Jaevon, that was not the case in women's March Madness. All right, well, here we go. My boy Kevin's not here to feel the pain with me, but our Ohio State Buckeyes lost on their home floor, because in the women's tournament, the first 2 rounds are played at the top 4 seeds. They host, and the Buckeyes hosted in Columbus. They advanced past Maine in the first round, and in the second round, they matched up against Kara Lawson's Duke Blue Devils. And unfortunately, Celeste Taylor, she transferred from Duke to the Ohio State University.
Did Kara Lawson go to Duke?
No, she went to Tennessee.
There we go.
And so Celeste Taylor did go to Duke. She's a guard for the Buckeyes, and she transferred to Ohio State this past offseason because she just felt like she wasn't getting enough playing time, whatever, at Duke. And so now Celeste Taylor ends up getting eliminated and having her season ended by the team that she just left. So that sucks for her. It sucks for me as an Ohio State fan, because I wanted to see JC Sheldon, their 5th-year senior. I wanted to see her at least make it to a Final Four this season. Didn't happen. It is what it is. Shout out to McMahon for the Buckeyes. She went nuts in this game. She had over 30 points, but it wasn't enough as Duke beat the Ohio State Buckeyes. Duke is moving on to the Sweet 16, I think, for the first time since 2018, and the first time in the Kara Lawson era. So shout out to Monarchs.
They get to play a Paige Bueckers, so good luck with that.
Good luck. You get Paige Bueckers. You get Aaliyah Edwards. This is your prize for beating the Buckeyes. So we'll see how Duke does, but honestly,
they're laying 8 points.
I'm taking those points. Give me Duke +8. Give me Duke +8. I'm not saying Duke's gonna win, but Duke +8, dude. Because you know why? You know why, Jaevon? Is because AZ Fudd's still out for UConn. So like, they're still missing one of their best players. Yeah, Paige Bueckers is back. Yeah, they have Aaliyah Edwards. Yeah, they have Nika Mule, but like, they're still missing AZ Fudd, who's a damn good player. She was one of the top recruits in her class of like 2021, I believe, is when she came out. But anyways,
the only team favored by double digits out of everybody in the Sweet 16. They're favored by 16 points against Indiana.
Yeah, and as Mr. Him 34 said on Instagram earlier on our live feed, no women's team is beating South Carolina. And he says Don Staley's the GOAT.
That's Evan.
That's Evan.
Yeah.
Shout out to Evan. We appreciate you for tuning in.
I like that -16. They might beat the shit out. They beat the shit out of everybody.
Oh, dude, you saw what they did to your Tar Heels, right?
Oh yeah,
so it was like 85-42.
Hey, you know what's crazy? So the first Evan hit me right. He was like, South Carolina the first round they played like Presbyterian or something like that, and they were favored by like 50 something points. And I was like, bro, they might fuck around and win by 80. They won by like, I think Presbyterian covered by like 2 points. They were favored by like, it was like 56.5, and they lost by like 54, which is insane.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts. So my Ohio State Buckeyes, they lose, and they are a 2 seed who gets knocked out before the Sweet 16. Thank you, Jaevon. Dude, you have just been reading my mind tonight because we transitioned from 1 2 seed to another. The Stanford Cardinal, they may have had Cameron Brink, their star player and future number 2 overall pick in the upcoming WNBA draft. Cameron Brink fouled out in the 4th quarter of her last game at Maples Pavilion on the farm. And so who needed to step up? None other than Kiki Iriafen, the freshman phenom, who she saw Audie Crooks. And Audie Crooks, I just got to give a shout out to Audie Crooks because like she is by far and away the 2nd best player in Iowa. She just happens to be in the same state as Caitlin Clark. But beginning next season, Audie Crooks will by far be the best basketball player in the state of Iowa after Caitlin Clark moves on to the WNBA and to the Indiana Fever. But Audie Crooks dropped 41 points in the first round. Whoever they beat was escaping me. But the point is, Iowa State advances to move on and play Stanford.
She's the girl that had 40, right?
Yeah, the big girl.
Yeah,
she got muscle. That's what I will say. But anyways, so Cameron Brink fouls out, and to me, I thought Stanford was in trouble. But Kiki Iriafen, she saved the day. She dropped her own 40-piece, did it with like 3 blocks, like 15 rebounds. Kiki went absolutely nuts. Kiki, I do love you, and I appreciate you. I'm sorry. I just tried to make a good reference on the fly, and it was a little rocky, but hey, A for effort, right? Anyways, Stanford is moving on. The Cardinal live to fight another day. And so now, Jaevon, let's focus on some of these 1 seeds because UConn survive in advance. You have Iowa survives in advance. Juju Watkins and the USC Trojans, they survive in advance.
They were -10.5 the other night. It was the freest play of all time. But they played like Kansas. Oh, Juju had a double-double. Chef's kiss.
Easy money. Absolutely easy money.
I think they won by like 20.
Yeah, so USC moves on, and then obviously, as we documented, South Carolina beat the absolute dog shit out of the Tar Heels and Deja Kelly. I by the way, shout out to Deja Kelly because her love story with RJ Davis being like real life. What was the movie? Love It. Yeah. What is it? Love is Basketball, right? Or what's the name of the movie?
Love and Basketball.
Love and Basketball. I was about to say I said Love is Basketball. No, Love and Basketball. Yeah, they're like the real life Love and Basketball. Yeah, that is pretty cool with RJ Davis and Deja Kelly. But anyways, all the 1 seeds move on. The Buckeyes, they get bounced. So just what stood out to you this past weekend with Women's March Madness? And please tell us more about why Juju Watkins, who broke the USC single season scoring record, she broke Cheryl Miller's record. And when you brought it up to me in the group chat, I thought to myself, like, okay, she probably broke some freshman record. No, point blank, she scored the most points by a USC Trojans women's basketball player, the most ever in a season. Juju Watkins did that shit as a freshman, and she's guaranteed to be there for at least 2 more years.
Like a GOAT, like all time,
big time.
She's She's like the reason why there's a WNBA. Let's just say
seriously, she is.
Let's just say that. So
point blank.
She's in really good company. I'll say that. Juju, I got USC winning the whole thing. I've just been seeing her just kind of just rise to stardom. Like I've said, I think we both kind of mentioned this throughout the entirety of the women's college basketball season, that there's more stars in the women's game than there is in the men's game. I'm kind of looking ahead because the Elite Eight could feature Juju versus Caitlin Clark. That would be. Would it be that? No.
That would be the final. That'd be the Final Four. I think what you're referencing. It could have been.
I think it's.
I thought.
Iowa.
Yes, correct.
That would be a rematch.
LSU Iowa.
That would be a rematch of last year's championship game, which would be. I don't know how that game shouldn't be in theaters. You should put that game in the movie theater. Also,
the thing about that, I'm glad that you mentioned LSU, because LSU, they damn near lost to Middle Tennessee. Tennessee, they aren't any scrubs, but Middle Tennessee was winning in the Bayou at halftime against LSU. And that's LSU with obviously Morrow and Angel Reese and Haley Van Lith. Like, they got a fucking squad. And Middle Tennessee was up on them at halftime. And just briefly, I just have to say, Kim Mulkey, you're a fucking idiot. None of us knew that the Washington Post was going to publish some defamatory story about you, and that some sleazy reporter has been trying to dig up all your skeletons. Kim, we didn't even know about that shit until you took 20 minutes in your press conference to write a statement and recite that statement. And then you say, I'm not going to take any questions. We're going to focus on the basketball game. As you just distracted all of us from the basketball game. It just doesn't make sense. I'm not a fan of Kim Mulkey, but man, that shit was fucking stupid. Like, no one knew about this, and you're the one giving, like,
you broke the story.
If someone was telling Jaevon, if someone was telling lies about you, would you amplify it? No, you would just let it die, right? I would let it die. But the fact that Kim Mulkey is like, this is lies, I'm going to tell you why it's lies, and bring it to the forefront, stupid. Anyways, so you got USC winning it all, though?
I definitely do. Not
the USC in Carolina. I'm sorry to cut you off, because South Carolina is USC technically USC as well, but you got Southern California winning.
So the way that the bracket is set up is, if these two teams advance, it would be Iowa, LSU, and then the other region, it would be USC, UConn. That would be two games that I don't know how I would not be watching. It kind of just seems that South Carolina is going to just like skate to the Final Four. Like, I'm just looking at how their like bracket is set up. I'm like, yeah, these are good teams, but I feel like they would be favored by double digits until the Final Four. Kind of just based off how, look, they've been favored by 56, 38. Now they're favored by 16 again. So it's like, you're kind of seeing a trend here with them. I think they're going to beat the living shit out of Indiana. Shaun could probably say that, he probably attest to that. But I feel like just the way
Indiana's good too, but like South Carolina is just on another tier, as Evan said. Like
they're like the Warriors with KD, the KD Warriors. When you kind of just knew when the playoffs came around, we're going to beat LeBron James in 5 games. It was just, we're going to sweep the Cavs. We're going to sweep LeBron.
The biggest question for me with South Carolina is, like, who is going to stop Camila Cardozo? Because, like, Camila Cardozo damn near, like, clothesline Flau'jae Johnson in the SEC championship game, got suspended for the first round of the tournament. That didn't matter. They still beat Presbyterian or whoever by 50-plus points. Yeah. Like, who is going to stop Camila Cardozo? And I will say, before I toss it back to you, I apologize, because I omitted one of the 1 seeds. In my head, I just had UConn as an automatic 1 seed. No, they're a 3 seed, and as you mentioned, UConn could match up with USC in the Elite Eight, and I am here for that. But Texas, the Longhorns, are the other 1 seed, and UConn's a 3 seed. So I got that wrong. Just wanted to mention that.
Well, just kind of just going back to South Carolina, it's just their team, like they got a lot of talent. Just
Pow nice.
Talent everywhere. They just absolutely roll teams. They're gonna have some girls going into the draft pretty soon. But I just think kind of South Carolina, I just think they kind of just skate to the Final Four like pretty easily. They kind of just cap their feet up, waiting to see who's next.
Yeah, and also I wanted to say that I got Notre Dame going pretty far in this as well because well, actually not that far because they're going to end up matching up with South Carolina in the Elite Eight, but at least Notre Dame led by Hannah Hidalgo. And like, we talk so much about Juju Watkins and like deservedly so, but like Hannah Hidalgo is the second best freshman in the nation. And like, if Juju was in any other class, like the only players who I would classify ahead of Hannah Hidalgo is like Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins. The list ends there. Hannah Hidalgo has been absolutely tearing it up at Notre Dame this year, but yet she flies under the radar. I agree with you that I think South Carolina, they'll cruise to the Final Four at least, which means that they knock off Notre Dame in the Elite Eight. I got Texas on upset alert in the Elite Eight at least, but Gonzaga would have to knock them off. And then I think Stanford gets to the Final Four. Maybe that's just my bias.
Texas favored by 5 points.
Yeah, and so I guess we'll see about that. And Colorado is gonna give Iowa a fight. I'm telling you all right now. Take those points.
Yeah,
Take the points.
I think it's gonna be close. Colorado's their girls team is pretty good.
They're hella good. Do you remember who the team was that beat LSU like the second game of the season? It was the Lady Buffaloes. It was Colorado.
Sko Buffs.
Sko Buffs. And so yeah, USC versus UConn in the Elite Eight potentially. That'd be awesome. But if Duke happens to beat UConn and Kara Lawson advances, a lot of us here in Sacramento will be very, very happy, especially a certain someone over at ESPN 1320. But that's it. I will say that I have Iowa winning the championship. We didn't go over our picks last week, or at least I didn't go over my picks last week for the tournament. I have Iowa winning the championship, and that means that Caitlin Clark is going to have 60. To go for like, yes. You see, I was going to say 50. 60. You're probably right. She's going to have to go for 60. To beat South Carolina, she's going to have to go for 60.
And she can do it.
Certainly. She certainly can. And so I'm looking forward to it. But regardless, it's going to be some great basketball coming up this weekend, as we had some great basketball this past weekend. And Jaevon, before we get out of here for episode number 87 of Stats Over Politics, you got any closing thoughts for our audience?
Shout out to Garry, man. Steelers are putting in work. They signed Cordero Patterson today. I don't know, as a running back, a wide receiver, a return man. They signed him. He's on the team. Just know you got another Swiss Army. Russell Wilson's got another Swiss Army knife coming on down to old Pittsburgh. So is Pittsburgh winning that? Oh yeah, I wanted to talk. We're going to talk about Khalil Austin. He's been a guy. Me and him.
He was active on X today.
We were. He was talking about my guy, Caleb Williams, who I believe is probably going to be. I think we all know he's going to the Bears. I've just been a guy who's been, stepping outside of the box a little bit. I've said, I dated myself. July 23rd, July of last year, basically. We had Soph. She made the graphic. Shout out to Soph. It was the Caleb Williams' top 15 quarterback. Now, this is fresh off of his Heisman season. We lost in the Pac-12 title game. We just lost to Tulane. Like, a bunch of just crap happened. And I was like, this guy he's the best. He's the 15th best quarterback in the NFL as a college player right now. I know a bunch of people are like, oh, you're insane and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I get it. I understand. And then I said on X today, I said he's the best player. He's the best quarterback in that division. He hasn't played a snap and blah, blah, blah. And I'm being consistent with what I've already been saying. Golf, if the Lions had a chance to get Golf or Caleb Williams, I'd take Caleb Williams. I feel like the only argument right now is the Jordan Love, Caleb Williams comp, because Jordan Love, obviously in his first year starting, went to the playoffs. Now, didn't win the division, but they did go to the playoffs. We saw Jordan Love against the Cowboys. He kind of lit up the Cowboys, put up a bunch of points, and that kind of like anointed him as like, oh, he's up there. So you got to definitely give him credit there. Obviously, the only thing with Caleb is Caleb hasn't played down in the NFL yet, so we don't really know. He's going into one of the best situations, I think, for a number one overall pick, like ever. I can't really name a guy who's going to getting two Pro Bowl level receivers and have a Pro Bowl level running back for an offense. I feel like the only thing in question with the Bears team is probably the coach, the head coach, and Matt Eberflus. But we've seen a lot of guys. You could even argue a guy who's argued as the greatest coach of all time. Once you get the quarterback right, things start to look good. So I think Caleb Williams, who is going to a 7-win team. This team won 7 games last year. You're just telling me he just needs to win 2 more games and they're above 500? Why can't they win? I'd go as far as to even say the Bears going into the division.
I like it. And Jaevon, do me a favor, and I want to give you kudos. I said it in the middle of what you were saying, but I realized I muted myself. I got to give you credit because like you said, you have been extremely consistent, and you have been standing 10 toes down on your take, and I respect it. Do me a favor. Just lean a little bit to the left. I'm going to lean to the right. You lean a little bit to the left. Because here is that amazing graphic that Sophia made for our Stats Over Politics social media.
Let's kind of look at this list, though. Like, Patrick, I feel like there's a good. Oh my God.
Daniel Jones at number 15. I guess I'm not crazy after all.
Deshaun Watson. There's Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy. He's moved up, I think. Jared Goff's in there. Geno Smith. Jesus Lord. It's just. I'm kind of just looking at this list. Like Caleb. What you definitely put CJ in this list. He's somewhere in here.
Definitely top 10, if not top 5.
Jalen Hurts moves down a little bit. Deshaun is Jesus.
Deshaun is a nasty man.
Deshaun is in the gulag right now. Kirk is somewhere in there. Jared could be somewhere like. This is really not great. Like Daniel Jones is nowhere near on this list. Like Caleb is. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers would somewhere be, injuries have a lot to do with that. Trevor Lawrence, I know a bunch of people are super duper high on him, but like, how good is Trevor Lawrence? How good is he?
I'm unsure at this point. He's a starter. He's a starter, but beyond that, like, I don't know.
So I'm just saying, this guy, this number 13 guy, top 15. So you probably move Jordan Love somewhere in here. Just based on what the year that he had.
Swap him out for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, you could Geno Smith, Jared, either one of those guys. But I do think Caleb is even just going off of this list, and this was a year ago. I guess I was trying to see in the future with a bunch of things. So I don't see how he's not top 15. Just entering the league. I mean, I said this last year in the whatever summer episode that was, and we had the factor cap, and we had the bunch of people comment on that picture. But I'm pretty confident in saying that he's a top 15 quarterback right now, entering hasn't even played a snap. Top 15. He's winning rookie of the year. I could promise you that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I will continue to stay consistent with my take on this, which is that I agree with your cousin, Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker, or at least he was this past season, Michael Walker, who said, I can't put him in the top 15 or even the top 32.
Oh, yeah, he did say that.
Until I see him play on the field. Just got to see it.
Yeah. He's like, I got to see him play. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
But, we shall see. And
NFL
Jaevon,
expertise, by the way.
100%. And the thing I will say with that,
he plays on the same team as TJ Watt. Just nothing major.
No big deal. No big deal. Now he plays on the same team as a Russell Wilson. And
yes, he does.
Most importantly,
the Danger Witch.
Fields. Yeah. Anyways, guys. Last thing I wanted to say with that, Jaevon, is even though I'm in the camp with Mike where I need to see it myself, him on the field for me to even consider that notion, it literally could just take 60 minutes of football, and then all of us are hopping on the bandwagon.
I got all the Caleb Williams stock. I bought a bunch last year. I'm pretty deep in on it. So
Jaevon's about to be a billionaire on that Caleb Williams stock.
Yeah.
Well, so shout out to our guy Khalil Alston, a loyal listener, has been on the podcast multiple times as a guest, and we appreciate you. All of your sports takes may not all work out. I don't know.
Pack is back.
Pack is back. There you go. Pack is back. So there you go. They beat the Cowgirls. So shout out to our guy Khalil Alston. That's going to do it for episode number 87 of Stats Over Politics. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the podcast, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics, and on X at Stats or Politics. See all the great content Kevin's putting out there. And make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. If you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned in to episode number 87, Travis Kelce episode of Stats Over Politics. For my guys, Jaevon Toddy, Kevin Dent, and Garry Singh, I'm your host, Sean Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on another episode of Stats Over Politics. Peace.